so discombobulated this morning. We have a feast day and lots of options, and then I'm in the confessional and unavailable to have anybody ask me what we should be doing and what options we should be choosing, so I'm kind of calling these audibles as we go. And I didn't even know Deacon Igor was here, the poor guy. I left without him, and oh man, it's just going to be one of those days. But a beautiful day, nevertheless, because it's a feast of our Blessed Mother. I always love the feast of our Blessed Lady, an opportunity to pay special attention to her. And how could we not desire to pay special attention to our Blessed Mother? If Elizabeth, who bears in her womb John the Baptist, of whom it is said, no greater man is born of woman than John the Baptist, how can we, lowlier, humbler, less holy than Elizabeth, expect to receive the Blessed Mother in any less a dignified way, in any less in a jubilant way than Elizabeth? Most blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. How does it happen to me? How am I so worthy that the mother of my Lord should come to me? How is it that any Christian can approach Our Lady with any less words than this? How is it that anybody who considers or claims the title Christian receive Our Lady with any less dignity, any less fidelity, any less love than to say, Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And how is it that you love us so much that you would come and visit us? This is what Our Lady did to Juan Diego on Tepeyac. It's what she did for all of the Mexican people to sort of root out that evil, hideous culture, Aztec culture and Mayan culture, and to finally obliterate, well, she tried anyways, to obliterate for a final time on in the Americas, the paganism of naturalism and of all the paganism of the native tribes there, so that they could be liberated in their right worship of Jesus. And yet, if we go to like Asheville, North Carolina, for example, you realize that paganism has not quite been rooted out. But nevertheless, here she stands, Our Lady, a woman in the heavens, clothed with the sun, with a crown of stars, is standing upon the moon, just as we heard John relate to us that he sees her. A great sign appeared in the sky as he sees the Ark of the Covenant. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. Our Blessed Lady, who is that Queen of Heaven, who is definitively that woman who bears the Son of Jesus, comes to us throughout history, whether it's in Lourdes or whether it's in all of the apparitions of our Blessed Mother are leaving me now. Obviously in Mexico, she comes to us at times of great need to remind us of two very simple things: to love God above all else, and to love our neighbor as ourself. This is the only message of Our Lady, which is why it's curious that anybody would be suspicious of or apprehensive of entrusting their spiritual life to our Blessed Mother. All she ever does is lead us to Jesus, as we see here in the reading here from Luke. Here she doesn't even lead us to Jesus. She actually brings Jesus to Elizabeth. That's what Our Lady always does. She always connects us to Jesus. She is not an obstacle, but a bridge, a binding force. The one who bears into the world, the Theotokos, the bearer of God, who brings God to us. She didn't do that just one single instant in time when she gave birth to the body of Jesus, conceived in her womb 9 months earlier. She continues to live that purposefulness in the overall history of salvation that God has written, not just for people 2,000 years ago in Palestine, but for you and me. Mary is the Theotokos, as she was then, as she is today, bearing into the world the Christ, always coming to us to bring us to Jesus. It's what she did at Tepeyac. It's what she's done throughout history, and it's what she does for us today if we are open to receive her as Elizabeth received her, with the same hospitality of piety and affection. How is it that you've come to me, Mary? I'm so unworthy. and yet you have brought to me our Lord Jesus Christ. But she also stands as a sign of justice and peacefulness among the world, and calls us to a reconciliation, a solidarity, a unity among peoples. That's why she always shows up throughout history in different places in the world, in different cultures as they need her. In Poland, in France, in Korea, in Mexico, right? Throughout the world. I'm not going to try to name them all because there's just too many of them. And she always shows up having her glorified body, taking on likenesses and the appearance of the people of the culture to whom she appears. Right? There's something a bit oriental about her appearance. And it's not just an artistic bend, right? When the people of Korea or Vietnam or China or wherever she's had legitimate apparitions where they describe her looking a bit Asian. It shouldn't be striking to us that, Our Lady of Fatima is a porcelain-skinned, almond-eyed, beautiful European-looking woman. It shouldn't surprise us that our Blessed Mother depicted here looks a bit like an Indian, exactly. We've got our assistant over here. Like an Indian. She does this because there's no greater or lesser race of people on this earth. The Lord came to every single person. He came to offer himself for us. And Mary needs to remind us of that a lot because we get bound up in competition, really, is all it is. It's essentially just schoolyard competition on a global scale, right? And we get so myopic in our own personal needs and in our own smaller societal needs that we forget that as a society, though it is important that our first priority is our local community, that whatever we have left over ought to be shared with the rest, with anybody who has less. Now, this is not a distributivism. It's not communism. It's simple kindergarten sharing, right? If we have been able to take care of what we need, and others next door to us have a need, let's share it to make each of us stronger, right? That kind of sharing, communism makes everybody weaker. Socialism makes everybody weaker, right? Distributivism makes everybody weaker. But true charitable sharing makes everyone stronger. Because it comes out of a place of charity, a gift of self, a willful, loving gift of self, is received in peace and therefore can establish justice. That's what our Blessed Mother always sort of repeats. After she tells us, love God above all else, and she says that in many and varied ways, but essentially the message is the same. Love the Lord your God above all else. I bring to you Jesus, my Son. Receive him, love him, right? The next thing that she always says, in one way or another, is love one another as the Lord has loved you, as you have been loved. Right? And so today, as we celebrate Our Lady of Guadalupe, the patronesses of all the Americas, starting with the good, the integral good that we ourselves are, let us receive Jesus for our own benefit. And from ourselves, as Mary gives of herself, the light to the world, let us be other Theotokos. Let us, by virtue of our baptism, bear more Christ into the world, or continue to bear Christ into the world, and affect all of those around us, to affect all of those around them, to affect all of those around them, with the same peace, the same justice that the Christ came to establish on earth. That while we model on this earth, never seeking to obliterate poverty, never seeking to obliterate world hunger, never seeking to establish some utopia in the world, because that will not ever happen, and it is not intended to happen, and it doesn't make Jesus upset that it isn't happening. But that as we model those realities in this world. We prepare ourselves for the heaven, the celestial kingdom in which Jesus is king and Mary is queen.